Hello, welcome to my channel WWE Pulse.
The Bloodline Saga is without question one of the greatest stories in pro wrestling history. It's one of the most celebrated storylines in modern WWE, if not the most celebrated, and that's because it's centered on Roman Reigns and his real-life family. The Anoa'i family, specifically his cousins, the Usos, Jimmy and Jay, and his actual father, Rick. It was a cinematic, emotional story about family, power, and betrayal that elevated every single person involved in the story. I just recently finished watching the 30 documentary on ESPN Plus called The Bloodline, and highly recommend you guys go check it out, because it goes in depth on the entire story. But in this video, we're going to talk about some of the best moments from the saga. So with that said, let's get right into it. Now, obviously, the whole story began with Roman Reigns' return to WWE in 2020. After he took time away to deal with leukemia, he returned to a hero's welcome and was greeted by his cousins, the Usos, who were very happy to see him. But it didn't take long for things to turn south. On the November 2020 episode of Roman revealed that he wasn't the same person that they knew and loved, claiming that he had evolved and now he was more ruthless than ever before. This led to a huge altercation backstage between Roman and the Usos, which would result in them turning on their cousin and beating him down. For weeks, Roman was a man possessed, going on a rampage and destroying anybody in his path. He would go on to defeat Kevin Owens at the Royal Rumble, then Daniel Bryan at Fastlane, and then Edge at WrestleMania 37. During this time, it was heavily implied that there was somebody controlling the Usos and pulling the strings from behind the scenes, which made Roman even more determined to find out who it was. It would eventually be revealed that it was none other than Roman's own father. Rikishi had turned heel and was tired of being overshadowed by his sons, especially Roman. He'd become jealous of all the praise that Roman was receiving over the past couple of years. And when Roman was forced to take time away from the ring to battle leukemia, Rikishi saw it as his chance to shine and be the top dog in the family once again. Now, when Rikishi initially turned on Roman, it happened off camera. But it was still such an impactful moment because we were led to believe that the Usos had betrayed Roman because they genuinely believed that it was what needed to be done. It was actually really heartbreaking to see, but seeing Rikishi finally turn on Roman, albeit off camera, was a huge moment because it shocked us all. We couldn't believe that Rikishi would actually turn on his own son, but he did it anyway. And it turns out Rikishi had been planning this for quite some time. The next few weeks were spent with Roman trying to come to terms with the fact that his own father had turned on him. But as he alluded to earlier, Roman was a man possessed. And even though he was sad, mad, and devastated that his father had betrayed him, he refused to let it stop him from achieving his goals. He wanted to continue to destroy everybody in his path. However, during a six-man tag team match, Roman accidentally hit Rikishi with a Superman punch. And when he realized what he had done, he immediately walked out on the match. Now, Roman would end up taking some time away from television. But he would eventually come back and he would start to go after the USOs. 4 weeks, Roman had been telling anyone who would listen that he was gone. Nah, take the titles off his cousins. And he would do just that at Payback 2021 when he defeated the Usos and Baron Corbin to win the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. This was a very interesting match. because while it was definitely a display of athleticism and skill, it was also incredibly personal. You could tell that all four men were giving it their all, because they legitimately do you and like each other. After the match, Roman would stand tall and finally have the validation he had been looking for since his return. It looked like maybe Roman had finally moved on from the betrayal of his family and was ready to move forward. But this wouldn't last for long. In late 2021, Paul Heyman informed Roman that he had found someone who was willing to help him deal with the Usos once and for all. And when Roman asked who it was, Heyman told him to meet him the following week. When Heyman revealed who he had brought in, Roman was shocked, because it was none other than his own uncle. Yes, Rikishi had somehow made his way back into the story, and he had brought his son, Solo Sikoa, with him. Now, it turns out Rikishi and Solo had both been released from their WWE contracts, and they had gone to Impact Wrestling, where they were known as the Good Brothers. They weren't doing much there, so Rikishi decided to call up Paul Heyman and ask if he had any opportunities available for him and Solo. Heyman said, "Hell yeah!" And Rikishi would make his return the following week. This time, as a face, the plan was for Rikishi to help Roman get past the Usos once and for all, which he did. At the end of January 2022, Roman went on to defeat the Usos and retain the titles. But this was on the end of the story, because it turns out Roman had been lied to and Rikishi had once again turned on him. After the match, Rikishi got in the ring and he begged Roman for forgiveness. He claimed that he had only been trying to protect his family and that's why he had turned on him. But Roman didn't buy it. He was furious with his uncle and he attacked him. He would later say that he thought that his family was done. He never thought that they would betray him again, but they did anyway. At Elimination Chamber, Roman retained the title in the Elimination Chamber match, but he had to do it without the help of his family. They had turned on him yet again and cost him the match. However, Roman was able to pick up the win. But after the match, Rikishi and the Usos came down to the ring and they absolutely destroyed Roman. It was brutal, and they stood tall to end this. Now, for the first time in months, Roman was a man who looked defeated. He had lost his family. He no longer had the support of his friends or his alliance. He was all alone. But Roman, being Roman, he didn't stay down for long. He would go on to challenge the Usos to a tag team match at WrestleMania 38. If he won, he would regain the titles. But if he lost, they would be stripped from him forever. The stakes were higher than ever before, and Roman was able to bring in two very familiar faces to help him out. At WrestleMania, Roman aligned himself with the returning Randy Orton and his son, a new face who was introduced as the next generation of the Anoa'i family, Roman's own cousin. Together, they were able to defeat the Usos, and Roman became a two-time WWE and World Tag Team Champion. However, this wouldn't last for long. It turns out that Solo had turned on Roman and the rest of his family, aligning himself with the Usos and becoming a heel. This led to a huge brawl backstage at WrestleMania, and things were looking pretty bleak for Roman. It seemed like he had lost everything, including his own family. But once again, Roman was able to overcome the odds, and he would go on to defeat Solo at the following night as Raw. After the match, Roman would address his family and announce that he was going to be leaving. He was sick of all the drama, and he didn't want anything to do with them anymore. As he was leaving the ring, though, he was attacked by the Usos and Solo. But this time he was able to fight them all off and stand tall. He was finally able to get rid of his family for good. However, this wouldn't last for long either, because later that year, Roman would lose the titles to the Usos. This led to another huge confrontation between Roman and his family, and Roman would walk away once again. This time with nothing but his head held high. He had walked away from his family and the titles. He was finally free. The story culminated in a match at the Royal Rumble in 2023, where Roman defended the WWE Universal Championship against the Usos and Kevin Owens. In the end, Roman was able to pick up the win and retain the title, but not before turning babyface once again and finally reuniting with his family. So that's the story of the Bloodline Saga. What do you guys think? How do you feel about the story? Do you think it was the best storyline in WWE history? Let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.
Okay guys, thank you for watching my videos.